proving deprivation of rights using the rules of professional conduct.
Whoa. Had to get out today. Haven't been able to talk to y'all because I haven't been feeling well. Had a power outage and that lasted a couple days. That got me really sick. I thought I died, but all is well. Somebody sent the police over for a wellness check, and I was never happier to see the police. It was pitch black. When the migraines kick in, they get really, really bad. Sometimes they last for hours, sometimes days. When it's longer, the last time I was in the hospital for that, they called the family and told them to come and say goodbye. But I don't want to go back to the hospital for that, so I'm doing whatever I can. And then going to court. I have panic attacks a lot. And going to the court, panic attacks are from when the sheriffs beat the life out of me. And it was because a judge ordered it. Because I wanted to go to court and cite my constitutional rights to effective assistance of counsel, demand my right to be heard, and have the judge do her job and cite my attorney for ineffective assistance of counsel, prosecutor for prosecutorial misconduct, which would have forced them to charge her with judicial misconduct and each other for multiple violations of the rules of professional conduct. It's pretty standard in every court of law. So it's easy to prove deprivation of rights just with the rules of professional conduct alone, and that starts with pointing out everything your attorney didn't do. Okay, so that's where deprivation of rights starts. And I've tried to teach a lot of people, but a lot of people wouldn't understand. A young lady, I was talking to her about her divorce, and she was telling me how her husband's lawyer wasn't showing up, and, she's late with paperwork, and didn't get his financial records in order. So I was telling her, well, that's a lack of diligence. I says, that's against the law, right? I said, really? I said, yeah, that's a lack of competence. That's incompetent. That's not showing competence. That's against the law, right? She says, really? I said, yeah, it's in the rules of professional conduct. I said, that's deprivation of rights. She goes, yeah, but it's not my lawyer, it's his lawyer. I said, yeah, did your lawyer report his lawyer? I said, for what? I said, for multiple violations of the rules of professional conduct. It's their job. It's the judge's job as well. I says, expediting litigation, that's mandatory. That would be diligent. Failure to do so would be incompetent. Did your lawyer communicate that to you? I said, well, no. I said, communication is mandatory. Did he communicate to you his legal obligations as stated in the rules of professional conduct? I said, well, no. So I tried giving it to her, but she didn't want to take it because she said she didn't understand the law. But she didn't even try to read it. But it happens with a lot of people. I was talking to a young man, I think he's coming over today, but he's in probate court. There's some family issues with probate court, and I have helped him with criminal case, and he's a little upset because I'm talking about the same issues with his criminal case that he got out of because he used the rules of the codes. And he's saying it's a different kind of case. I said, no, well, yeah, every court is different, but the common denominator in every court are the rules and the codes, rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct. So all the rules and the codes don't apply to every court, but the rules and the codes apply to every court, every judge and every lawyer. So he's starting to understand is because he's finally starting to read it. And the hardest thing I've ever had to do, besides getting a judge and a lawyer to live up to the rules and the codes, is to get a layman that I've been trying to help to read the rules and the codes themselves. Now, if you watch any of my other videos, you'll know that I speak to you in layman's terms, which that's how the laws are written, easily for you to understand. All you got to do is take the time to read it. And some people, they get stuck on one post, one comment, and they start commenting away, and then I got a comment, and we throw comments back and forth, and some of them I try to get them to realize that some of these comments they're making are about videos I already made. And I'm not saying these are the cure, because I can't guarantee you any judge or lawyer will live up to the oath. And violating the oath is deprivation of rights in itself, not to mention the obligations behind the oath, and that's the rules and the codes, which they don't abide by, yet alone enforce. Because if you read the rules of the codes, you would know that violating any of the rules of the code, that's misconduct, and reporting misconduct is mandatory in both the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct. And nobody reports that misconduct, because if they did, it'd be a house of cards. Because once one person points out the other, then everybody's got to start pointing out each other. It's literally having them eat themselves alive. It's what I called in some of my original videos, breaking the code of silence. I've discussed this with a judge and a lawyer in a lawsuit that I was defending myself against. And they eventually filed a voluntary non-suit. The only reason they did that is because I pulled out the code of judicial conduct. The judge didn't want to use any evidence, didn't want any witnesses. I wanted to use hearsay, me against her, and that was it. So I agreed to go to trial. He said, "Are you ready to make your opening statement?" I pulled out the code of judicial conduct. I said, in accordance with the code of judicial conduct, canon 2, rule 2.5, and all of a sudden he called for a sidebar, and everybody was included except for me, and I was excluded. And they said because I wasn't a lawyer, but I filed a pro se motion, so that gave me every right and opportunity of any and all those attorneys included. But they kept me out. They filed a voluntary non-suit. I raised a little ruckus, talked about issuing complaints with the ARDC and the Judicial Inquiry Board, and they laughed at me and made jokes and said, yeah, it's easier to get a cop to arrest a cop, and which is true. So I can't guarantee you any lawyer or judge will abide by the rules or the codes, or anybody will lock them up for breaking all those laws. I can't guarantee you that. All I can guarantee you is the knowledge that I have, And some people think I'm smart, but if I'm that smart, you would be too if you read what I read. Listen, I've been on this journey for a long time. I first read the Rules of Professional Conduct in 1979, and I've been on a path since, all right? And that's to make that happen, to see to it that all our public servants live up to the oath. Violating the oath alone is deprivation of rights. And then when they violate the oath, they took the oath, to uphold, without reservation, But they get in the office. If you ever read the Basic Obligations of Public Service, you would know there's a lot of things they don't do that they should do, and a lot of things they should do that they don't do. That's breaking a lot of laws. All right, but that's what my page is about. Unaccompanied adult on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Mario619 on YouTube, Legal Reform, Facebook, and a lot of other places. Okay, but I'm just doing my best to show you everything that's behind the oath of all your public servants. And don't let what I'm going through be in vain. I don't feel very well right now. Since that power shortage, I dropped in the area of 25 pounds. Going to court, had a lot of panic attacks. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Scared the crap out of me. But when that the only power they have is so far against me is I'm in this alone. But see, when I speak in a court of law, I usually take all of these with me. I've had lawyers time and time again ask me, who the hell do you think you are? And when I say we the people, they turn and run, because if you ever read their oath, they took an oath to the United States Constitution. That United States Constitution was dedicated to serve and protect we the people. That's who I am. That's who you are. We the people. So, relatively speaking, every time I spoke in a court of law, I took all of you with me. Every time I thought of you, I spoke as many. And every time I spoke as one. What affected me affected you. What they took from me, they took from you. They took from one, they took from all. And I'm trying to get it back. I made it out of the house today. I haven't been able to make it out on my own in a while. But I had to get out. I was in so much pain. I was screaming, I was yelling, I was crying, I was throwing up. I couldn't stop going to the bathroom. It took a while to get here, but I'm here. It's going to take a while to get back. Hopefully I get back. Well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, so my last breath, and doing my best, and I need your help to get everybody to live up to the oath and the obligations of that oath. Remember, violating the oath alone is deprivation of rights, which is a federal crime. Deprivation of rights under the color of law. That's what violating the oath is. Look up the basic obligations of public service, and you'll find a lot to complain about, a lot that's happening that should be happening. All right, the only reason I'm smiling is because I'm talking to you, and that's my relief. Doing my best to see what happened to me doesn't happen to you. I used to go to counseling for PTSD, but they kicked me to the curb because they said, quit trying, give up. They didn't even know what I was talking about. I tried to get some of my therapists to go to the state's attorney's office with me with my exculpatory evidence, say, hey, this, it's your job to, exonerate me, Rule 3.8 of the Rules of Professional Conduct says so. You know the rules, and so do I. Do your job. And they said no. And I think they actually thought I was a loon because they never read the law. And one therapist was telling me, no, instead of doing that, what I do with you, she wanted me to go on the internet and do some other things that would take my mind off of all of you. What's happening to you? And as a Christian, what gets me through my days, every day I wake, I ask myself one simple question: what would Jesus do? Proceed accordingly. And I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but my first, best, and biggest inspiration was Jesus. What would Jesus do? He wouldn't forget about you. He wouldn't turn your back. And even what he did, he knew he'd give his life. So, what happens to me is inconsequential. It's what's happening to you that bothers me the most. My life is nearly over. It's coming to an end. And before it does, hopefully I get to see this thing we call rule of law happen. That's the big thing. Getting politicians to live up to the oath. In a nation of laws, the rule of law is king. It's what gave definition to the Declaration of Independence. It gave birth to the United States Constitution. And in both it is written that we the people, that we are all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 250 years since it was written, and 250 years since it has yet to begin. That's my biggest effort. So like I said, I've been at this for a long time. First found the rules and codes back in 1979. That put me on a mission, but it didn't actually started there. It started in 1971, as I said, when I read the Declaration of Independence of the United States Constitution. It put me in a path. It gave me a dream. It started with a dream that one day our nation will live up to its creed. Thank you. You have a good day. My heart's calming down. I think the panic attacks are wearing off. And I'm going to get back to you. You have a good day. May your Creator always be with you and rain many blessings. May you have a long life and good health. And by the way, all you people complaining about those data centers, you're worried about what it's going to do to the community, your water, the land and the surrounding community, the air. Refer to the public trust doctrine. That's the law. Okay. They took the oath to do that. Every public servant out there, politicians, court of law, refer to the public trust doctrine, people. And you can stop those data centers quick, fast, and in a hurry. None but love for you, one and all. As the Creator commands, love thy neighbor as the Constitution demands. We are all created equal. Good night.